Restrictive intervention. One of the things the new law talks about is the Office of the Senior Practitioner.
What's that office, Jim?
The Office of the Senior Practitioner looks after people who might harm themselves or others.
That used to be called challenging behaviour in the 80s.
It's called Behaviours of Concern now. Let's go to the Office of the Senior Practitioner and you can find out more. I'll wait outside, just to be on the safe side. They might find me a little odd.
We don't find you odd, Jim.
Gee, thanks, pals.
We find you weird.
Let's just get on with it. I'll keep out of sight. The senior practitioner is way up there in that building. See you later.
Way up there.
Let's go and find out more.
Okay. David, are you afraid of heights?
Me? Never. You afraid of heights?
Nah, not really.
Oh, David, seriously.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Rod Carrahan.
Hi, Rod.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi Sheldon, Jeffrey.
Hi,
Nice-
Jeffrey.
Nice to meet you.
Hey,
Hi
Jeff.
David. Good, thanks yourself.
Good.
Terrific. Come right in.
Come on.
Okay, get you some water.
We're from the Help Raiser Self-Advocacy Group.
You mean the Hellraisers?
Fantastic. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet
Welcome.
you too. We want to know what behaviours of concern mean.
Behaviors of concern are, when sometimes people do things that hurt others, like biting a staff, slapping a staff member, and sometimes they do things that hurt themselves, like, they hit themselves or scratch themselves. And these are called behaviors of concern. But more importantly, behaviors of concern are when we need to help these people, we need to understand them and teach them skills to communicate. So instead of biting staff or scratching staff, we need to find out what else can they do to communicate. And so that's behaviors of concern.
How can we stop people hurting themselves?
Rod, do you want to answer that?
Sure. Look, sometimes when staff want to stop people using behaviours of concern, they might want to use some restrictions. In terms of behaviours of concern, these might be things like locking the doors. Sometimes they might use medications to stop people using a behaviour of concern. When they do this, there are special rules that they need to have in place. They need to have a special plan about how they're going to support the person with these behaviours of concern.
That sounds pretty bad. I think there are always reasons why people can get upset.
Yes.
How do we make sure that people get their rights if staff want to restrain them?
David and Sheridan, it's important to realize that the use of restraints must be used when it is at the last resort, and it must be the least restrictive practice. My job is to protect the rights of people with disability when restraints are being used.
What do you mean by restraints?
It can be chemical restraints. Chemical restraints are like medicine, some tablets that the psychiatrist or the doctor would prescribe. It can be seclusion, which is putting someone into a room on his or her own, and that person can't get out of the room. So that's called seclusion. So at the moment in Victoria, these are the three types of restraints that is described in the legislation: mechanical restraint, chemical, and seclusion.
What can you do before you use restraints?
David, when staff use restraints, they need to find out, look at if the person may be unwell, if they're sick, if they've got a pain, if they're having difficulty talking about what's wrong. Staff need to find out those things and find other ways to support the person.
I'm very worried. How are people's rights going to be protected if they're restrained?
I'll answer this one, Sheridan. If a person has to be restrained, it's important that the service provider has to have a special report. We call this special report a behavior support plan. This plan must be written. It must explain why there's no choice but to use restraints, and that when this restraint is going to be used and how they're going to review it. It's also important to make sure that the person with the disability who is going to be restrained has a say in how and when he or she is going to be restrained, and that information is collected in this behavior support plan. My job here in the office, and it's also the job of Rod, to make sure that we review this special report, this behavior support plan, and we review it regularly.
Can the person have someone help them with their plan?
Yes, David. The staff need to ensure that an independent person is involved, and the independent person might be a parent or a friend, someone who can be there to explain the behaviour support plan to the person and the use of any restrictions within that plan.
What if a person's not happy with their plan? What can they do?
Sharon, if the person's concerned about the plan, first of all they can contact the authorised program officer and express their concerns to that person, who is the person who approved the plan, or they could take their concerns to the public advocate.
What can the senior practitioner do to make sure the person with the support plan has their rights?
My job is to protect the rights of people with disability, and my job is to make sure the plans, these behaviour support plans, are fair, that they are appropriate in supporting the person with the disability, and that in this plan that they must find lots of positive ways of supporting the person. If I have any concerns, I normally write to the disability service provider and tell them of my concerns about the plans.
What can self-advocacy groups do if they're worried about restraints?
Sharon, if a self-advocacy group thinks there is a problem with a behaviour support plan for a person, they can contact the Office of the Senior Practitioner. They can contact us on 909 65043 and we'll respond to any concerns by a self-advocacy group.
I think self-advocacy groups needed to hear about this. Could someone come to our meetings from the Senior Practitioner's office?
For sure, I'll be more than delighted to attend to any meetings of the self-advocacy groups. If I can't attend, Rod or any of my staff members can attend.
Thanks a lot for meeting with us, and it's good to know that self-advocates can come and meet with you.
Fantastic. It's
Thank
our
you very
pleasure,
much.
and let's work together.
Thanks, David.
No worries.
That's Jim.
That's him.
You guys were great in there.
We now know what to do if we find a person or friend that's restrained too much.
Yep, contact the Senior Practitioner's office.
That's what they're there for.
They can contact us on 909 65043.